I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.
Aren't you the least bit curious why, the day Charlie Kirk was assassinated, an older man screamed that he was the one who was the shooter? But he wasn't. However, he was apprehended immediately by law enforcement, which later confirmed that he had nothing to do with it. Unfortunately, FBI Director Kash Patel jumped the gun and announced that the shooter had been captured. But at the time, he was incorrect. But don't you want to know why? See, it turns out I'm correct about my theories, and they're proven every single day. There is a coalition that I refer to colloquially as the Black Army that is made up of black, trans, gay, pedophiles, basically anyone that would consider themselves marginally a community that's marginalized by what they would consider anything that would be law enforcement. 50 years ago, if you were caught diddling kids or committing a crime, a white man with a uniform would show up to arrest you. They see white men as public enemy number one. But why? Why would a elderly pedophile, because he was arrested at the scene, but he was caught with child pornography? Well, Rico, why would a person caught with child pornography who's an elderly man, why would he run cover to give the assassin time to escape? Why would an elderly pedophile hate Charlie Kirk? And subsequently, why would a pedophile hate Donald Trump? Well, they're all connected. They are all one and the same. When you, well, let's first things first, let's play the video of the arrest, shall we?
How dare you! How dare you! How dare you!
In the chaotic first few moments following Charlie Kirk's assassination, an older bald white man, handcuffed by cops, seemed to be the prime suspect. Now authorities have revealed that while he wasn't guilty of killing Kirk, he is being charged with something that will turn your stomach. In a sickening news release, the Utah County Sheriff's Office said that 71-year-old George Zinn has been charged with 4 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor, after investigators found over 20 images of kids as young as 5 years old on his phone, in which they appeared at least partially naked and in sexual poses. The agency
FYI, until Donald Trump became president again, this was going to be decriminalized. And a lot of people don't know it. See, in the state of California, there was legislation passed by a senator by the name of Anthony Weiner. No pun intended. And he is a gay man who has been pushing to decriminalize pedophilia or child or sex with minors by saying that these types of arrests disproportionately affect the LGBTQP community. This legislation, to most people's surprise, was making its way east. Donald Trump stopped that. Charlie Kirk is the person who helped put Donald Trump in power by clearly being able to explain to constituents what we were fighting for to preserve and what we were fighting against, which was the eventual legalization or decriminalization of pedophilia and sex with minors. See, in California, if the offender is 50 years old and he's caught, being sexually with a minor under the age of 15 or even 12, if the minor claims to be LGBTQ and so does the perpetrator, well, then you would no longer have to register as a sex offender. And we all know that if you are put on that list, that is the greatest punishment you can give someone, especially if you have to live in civilized society where they do background checks. That legislation was actually starting to make its way east, And slowly but surely, the decriminalization was starting to begin. That's all being reversed. And now, because of Charlie Kirk, those types of legislation that would decriminalize that have been pushed back 30 years, or maybe it will never happen again at all, because now the country is leaning right. People don't understand, to be on the left requires you to go along with the agenda. The only agenda that the left has, that where they talk about the rights they don't have and the privileges they want the right to have underage sex with children legally. That's it. And that's why they said, oh, under Trump, we lost our rights. And you're like, and when you ask them what rights, they won't tell you, because it's embarrassing and it's illegal. And the greater public has no idea that this is really the only thing, all this left, right, Democrat, Republican, that's all it boiled down to now. 20 years ago, to be a Republican meant that you were fiscally conservative. To be a Democrat meant that you wanted to give Black people money for welfare and you felt sorry for them. So one group wanted to conserve and save money. The other group wants communism and social services to give other people free money who don't want to work. And you would use the fact that how they were born and their skin color as their disability. So you would say, well, these people are handicapped because they were born Black, they can't read, they can't learn, and their schools are inadequate, so they're not smart enough to function in society. Let's give them money. But why would you give money to a person who's not smart enough to function in society? Where will that get you? Well, that will get you to where we are today, where the community is in shambles and there's no hope in sight for them. Right now, that community is being poised against the conservative movement as they are being used as security guards to run protection for the LGBTQP. That's why they make really good but strange bedfellows. Most Black people live conservative, they don't like pedophiles, but in their imaginary war against white supremacy, they're always shocked when there's all these new white people that are saying the same talking points. White supremacy, we hate white people are evil, yada yada, colonizers, whatever. But they are also white themselves. But it's because if they're gay, they're actually not white. Gay is its own color, it's its own group. So you can be Black, you can be white, you can be gay, but you're no longer gay or Black if you're no longer Black or white if you are gay. And that's why people don't understand what's happening and they're so confused. So I do my best to make these videos to clear things up for you so you understand. The reason that, and now the biggest, some of the biggest supporters, and actually some of the biggest numbers now of the LGBTQP is the P. The P is represented by a group called MAP, which are called MAPs. That stands for Minor Attracted Persons. This is the kicker. We don't know how many maps there are. For all we know, maps can be made up between the left and the right. Actually, there's some that have theorized that the map community would be one of the largest blocks between both. That's why there's so much support, because maps are being offered protection under the LGBTQP umbrella as a sexual orientation. The whole key behind all of this is to eventually recognize pedophilia as a sexual orientation and not as a crime. Do you understand what I'm saying? They want it to be recognized as a sexual orientation and for it to be respected and acknowledged, but not criminalized. If right now Donald Trump said, okay, look, we will accept people that are attracted to children and have sex with children, and we'll just find a way to mitigate it, and we will accept being pedophiles as a part of the society, and that would mean the war between the left and the right would be over. There would be no more assassinations, and Democrats would praise Donald Trump as being the great unifier. However, in practice, conservatives or Christian, we would rather die in a war before we allow pedophiles to have sex with children legally around us, in our presence, or in our society. And that is the Great Divide. That is why people are being assassinated, and that's why there's a war. You see gay men gushing all over the place, talking about the trans shooter and his gay lover. All of this is it all plays into the same thing. The trans kids were also pedophiles. A lot of the gay kids are pedophiles. There's a small group of gays that are not pedophiles, and they're a part of a group called the Gays Against Groomers. But if you even ask them, the majority of their kind, of the gay community, are MAPs. Again, because we don't know how many MAPs there are, we don't know their strength, but we just know that they're spread out. That's there, and they connect all these different groups together. And it's a powerful lobby because if you're LGBTQ and you're getting funding from people who appear to be straight, they do have something in common. They're MAPs. You just don't know it. MAPs don't walk around dressed a certain way. They look like normal, regular people in society. This elderly man that they arrested, Mr. George Zinn, unless you went through his phone, you would not know he was a MAP.
He went on to say that Zinn had admitted that he gets sexual gratification from viewing and sharing child pornography with others, and that his preferred victim age is 5 to 12 years old. Zinn captured the attention of authorities on September 10th when Charlie Kirk was fatally shot in front of a crowd at Utah Valley University.
Listen to what they said. He admitted that his sexual preference age is between 5 and 10 years old. This is why these people hate Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump. They are pedophiles. Remember, the gay community encompasses all these groups that consider themselves being marginalized. The pedophile community, the MAP community, considers itself marginalized. So even if you are against pedophilia and you're gay, you literally have no choice but to support them. These people saw Charlie Kirk being in the way of their goals of eventually decriminalizing sex with minors and sex with children. That's why this man was so happy that Charlie Kirk was shot. And this is why he tried to admit that he was a shooter so that the actual person could get away. Now, in my opinion, there's questions about if it was a gunshot, if it wasn't a gunshot. I have questions because I've seen video. And those videos bring up even more questions. Mr. Let Go brought up some really amazing points and that no one else has been able to address. So I'm going to look at those because I have questions. I've learned not to trust the official narrative after 9/11. When they came on television and told people to wear masks and 2 weeks to stop the spread, I no longer trust official narratives. And me being in journalism myself, and I'm actually doing these shows, it's my job to do research and to speak to my audience, so that's what I'm doing. This man was a pedophile. A lot of the people you see that look normal on television praising Charlie Kirk's death, they are also pedophiles. The reason they are so happy is because people like Charlie Kirk would have made sure they're going to prison for their crimes against children. In prison, they will die. They felt like this was a victory that could save their lives by Charlie Kirk being assassinated. That's the genesis of the hate. They want access to children legally. They don't want to do sex tourism anymore. And the border's closed. There's no access to those children anymore. So they need yours. Charlie Kirk was in the way. He spoke about Christian values. He was not an ally of the LGBTQ community, but he wanted to talk about it. The problem is, if you talk to them long enough and they admit to you that their whole movement, the only part of it that's actually an issue is the whole part about having sex with kids, well, then everything blows up. You got to think about it. Trans and gay and they all have the same rights as regular Americans. They're Americans. The only right they don't have is the right to legally have sex with children. But you have to speak to them for them to tell you this. You have to talk to them. Charlie Kirk wants to talk. Eventually, this was going to come out in conversation. They had to shut Charlie Kirk up. So what I'll do is I'll help you fill in the blanks. George Zinn, 71, was charged with 4 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor Monday after investigators found that more than 20 images of kids as young as 5 years old, at least partially naked and posing in a sexual way, The Utah County Sheriff's Office says in a news release Tuesday. Zen admitted that he gets sexual gratification viewing and sharing child sexual abuse material images with others, and that his preferred victim age is 5 to 12 years old, the agency alleged. Do you now understand who you're arguing with on the internet? Do you now understand who is laughing at Charlie Kirk and celebrating his death? This is bigger than the LGTB. This is bigger than gay. This is bigger than trans. This is MAPS, a new group that wants to be accepted, a new group that wants to come out of the closet, a new group that their very nature is criminal. Being gay isn't illegal. Being trans is not illegal. Being a pedophile is illegal. But if trans and gays are accepted, pedophiles want to be accepted too. We can never allow that to happen. So guess what that means? More people are going to get shot. The war is going to continue until one side is no longer here. I am a conservative on the side of the right. I hate pedophiles. Those are my mortal enemies. And as a man, if we can't protect children from sickos, then what good are we? People will come to me. I have a friend of mine who I think he's probably a map. He says to me, Rico, well, how do you know there's not pedophiles that are on the right too? And I'm like, you're a man with children. What the fuck does that matter to you? Shouldn't you be more concerned with the fact that pedophiles are being arrested? Shouldn't you be concerned that pedophiles are celebrating that Charlie Kirk was killed? Why are you on the same side as a pedophile? Why are you and a pedophile ideologically aligned? That's the part that makes me no longer want to be able to associate with this person, and I have to look at them differently. If you are on the side, there's two sides. You're on the side against pedophiles, or you're on the side with the pedophiles. The pedophiles hate Charlie Kirk. The conservatives like me, we loved and appreciated him. You have to pick a side. If you're on the side of those who love the guy that killed and shot Charlie Kirk, then you are on the wrong side of history. We're not going to be able to coexist. It's just not going to happen. He was taken into custody at Utah Valley University with that detention paving the way for the child porn charges, because when they arrested him, they caught him with the material in his phone. But guess what else is going to be in his phone? His network. He says he gets off sharing the material. Who's he sharing with? He's not sending it to himself. This was a great day for law enforcement. This was a tragedy what happened to Charlie Kirk, a man who I admired. But it was a victory. So many Black Army agents that work for companies, the government, Secret Service, different institutions, they exposed themselves by gloating in Charlie's death. These are Black Army people who hate Charlie because they're also pedophiles. Again, if you make bedfellows with the pedophile, you are also in their same boat. There is no separation between you and them. You guys both equally hate Charlie for the same reason. Because he was, not because he was hateful, but because he was bringing up conversations that you do not want the world to know, which is the truth. The truth is, the only thing that you want that you're not getting that makes you upset is access to children, unfeathered, uninterrupted. Charlie interrupted that access. The alleged senior citizen sicko was initially hauled off campus, called off to campus police headquarters, where he refused to cooperate, but was soon taken to a hospital for a medical problem, authorities said. He fessed up to not being the shooter there, and investigators successfully requested that if they could take a look at his phone. He handed it over, and Zen admitted to state and federal agents that he uses the electronic device to check out inappropriate images of children. Those agents did see several images on the phone of prepubescent girls, scantily dressed, the agency said. All the pedophiles are not going to be gay. That's why that's such a large group, because they could be straight pedophiles or they can be gay. They can be interested in the same sex or the opposite sex. They are an extremely vast group. That's why I said we don't know how many of them there are because they're still hiding in the shadows. But I believe it's a very large group, a block. And I believe that they're inside of every institution. I mean, think we found one in the Secret Service. How many are in Congress? How many are judges? How many are Democrats? How many are Republicans? That's going to make this a very difficult fight because we're going to have to use laser precision to carve them out and figure out who they are. But we also have to catch them so we can prosecute them. But if war is coming, we're not going to have time for any of that. But they are making their allegiances known, and they are making it known that they want to separate. They're poking their heads out because they feel brave. They felt so brave that they admitted to being happy that a person was murdered to the point where they didn't even care they had jobs until they got fired. They didn't even care about the repercussions. They didn't care about HR finding out. That's how happy they were because they thought that they were going to be now one step closer to finally being affirmed in society. Affirmation for a map in society means you're no longer going to criminalize them for having sex with children. They live in a world that will never be this world. That'll never be this country. There are places in the world where this happens every day. This is not one of those places. This is the United States of America, and we have laws. And if we know about this, we will prosecute you. Zen is being held in the county jail. Footage of the old man being cuffed and dragged away quickly circulated in the immediate aftermath of the shooting. He repeatedly screamed, "I shot him, now shoot me." Even though he was unarmed at the time of the arrest. He wants to be shot because he was too chicken shit to commit suicide earlier in life. Typically, men with his sickness, they off themselves by a certain age. They don't live to be that long. It's rare that you see them make it to this age. Typically, people with this issue were also abused as children. The trauma of the abuse and the guilt and all the mixed, confused feelings and emotions about it, it drives them to drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and eventually they do self-delete. It's typically before the age of 34. But he will sit in prison. He will not pass away. We won't give him an easy way out. He later told police he wanted to cause a distraction for the real gunman, but he also said he wanted to be a martyr for the person who was shot. So he wanted to be credited for the shot that killed Charlie, even though he was too chicken shit to even try to do it himself. Zen is a familiar face locally as he has gained a notorious reputation for showing up at events and often getting tossed out. I wonder if this is why this old piece of shit, why his pants were down when he was arrested. His pants were around his ankle as being hauled away. Matter of fact, let's go back so you guys can see this clown. Look at him. His pants were down.
According to Utah, Charlie Kirk was fatally shot in front of a crowd at Utah Valley University. According to Utah's Fox 13, investigators found over the Utah's assassination, an older bald white man handcuffed by cops.
How dare you!
In the chaotic first few moments,
See, his pants are around his ankles. I wonder what that has to do with anything.
Robinson later claimed that he was attempting to distract the police from the real shooter. There is no current evidence that Zinn and suspect Tyler Robinson had any connection or were working together on this scheme. In the immediate aftermath of the assassination, Zinn's image spread across the internet, with many.
The funny part about all this is that it was automatic. He automatically, without being instructed, he automatically knew that he wanted to run cover. Instantly, he knew he wanted to run cover so that the killer could get away. That means that these people are working together, coordinated, without even having to speak to each other because they're all on the same page. They all have the same goal. And when I try to tell people that goal, they're in denial about it because it's so sick, demented, and scary that they don't want to realize that they have no idea if the person standing next to them at work or at church or at school is one of them. You don't know. You don't know.
Believing he was the one who pulled the trigger. Before the shooting, Zinn was already known to authorities. According to Salt Lake City County District Attorney Sim Gill, the political troll is infamous for being a gadfly who attends many political events and is almost always thrown out for his odd behavior. Zinn
That's crazy. He does this all the time, apparently. Let me just double check to make sure that we're live on X and that you can hear it sometimes. V meter, it does screw up, and you might think that you're online and you think that you can hear somebody or hear yourself, but you cannot. So I'm just making sure that everyone can hear me and that I can. No, this is where's that? Okay, make sure the sound's coming through correctly. But again, these are the people that we're living next door to. These are the people that are amongst us. And now they're starting to make the news because they're poking their head out. This is a huge demographic of people, and we don't know who they are. We found one Secret Service agent who's been fired, but in a year's time, that's one of the agents that would have eventually made a move on Trump. And by the looks of it, this does not even need to be coordinated. It's not coordinated. They don't need to be. They don't have to speak to each other. They don't have to have someone tell them what to do. They just do it. They know what to do. They have the same mission. So this is my X account where you can follow me, the single hubby. I want to just make sure that my mic is working. You have to do that sometimes. You have to make sure things didn't go haywire and screw up. Even now, I'm literally having to refresh my internet because it's just reading and I'm not able to see my video live. So bear with me for a moment. This is all we're doing is a sound check to make sure everything's coming through clearly. I'm ordering new equipment so that I can speak more. And hopefully it should be here this week. I'll go back to we'll just go back to the
has racked up a number of trespassing arrests at events like film festivals, protests, and political rallies. Most ominously, he spent a year in the can in 2013 for threatening to bomb the Salt Lake City Marathon, according to reports. Police are now saying his false confession delayed the investigation into Kirk's killing and needlessly took up law enforcement resources at a critical juncture in the probe.
He did it on purpose. He literally wanted to hinder law enforcement's investigation. He did not want this shooter to be caught. Again, these people feel like they're fighting for their lives because in prison, well, we all know what happens to people in prison who are pedophiles and who are caught harming children. They don't last. So when they're saying things like Charlie Kirk is threatening my life, Donald Trump is threatening my life, and he's going to get me hurt, what they're saying is that because Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump are pro-law enforcement, the laws will be enforced. You will go to jail for harming children, and in prison, you will be dealt with. That's why they feel that this is such an existential threat to their lives. That's what that translates into. They know they will be held accountable and children will be protected from them. And every day that Charlie Kirk spoke, they felt like things were getting further and further away from them being accepted and affirmed in society, where pedophilia will actually be an acceptable classification for a sexuality in this country. That will never happen, ever. I don't care what happens in this country. We'll never care for peace that much where we will compromise that hard. It will never get to the point where we will compromise, where we're going to give up our children for peace. We would rather die before we do so. Almost every political event you could think of, there was always George somewhere in the background listening. The charges against George Zinn come as 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, who police believe actually shot Kirk, was hit with an aggravated murder and other felony counts on Tuesday. He automatically ran cover. Even without communication, they're all speaking, they're all working together. That should scare all of us. Again, this is a black army. There is an army of people who are gay, trans, black, pedophile, they're working simultaneously against straight white conservative men or anyone who's a conservative at all, because they feel that conservatives are the reason why pedophilia and pedophiles will never be accepted and why they will not be affirmed in society. I just wanted to give you guys that breakdown so that way it's in historical record that someone talked about it before. I'm gonna go ahead and share this video. If you like and subscribe, if you have any comments or if you feel that I'm wrong about something, please talk to me. But he was caught with pedophile material. Like I always keep saying, these people are a part of a group, and the reason they hate white men is because when you're caught harming children, it's a straight white man in a uniform that's going to come to your door and arrest you. That's why they hate him. They hate him with all their hearts. And honestly, that's a very noble reason to hate someone, and it makes me want to join law enforcement. I'm proud to know that our law enforcement is scaring these people to the point where now they feel like they have to assassinate others and they have to stick their heads out because they're at the end of their rope. Law enforcement is closing in on them. Their underground lifestyle is being exposed. They're not going to be able to hide for much longer. It's all coming out. So we are making some headway. Again, long live Charlie Kirk. Long live Donald Trump. America first means Americans first. And I do not consider these sick pedos as Americans. They will receive no sympathy or quarter from me. Single boyfriend, right-wing RICO. I'll be back with another story shortly. Thank you.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.